Ready?
Look, I'll be honest here, I'm not really the biggest Battle Royale guy out there. I've played a single round of Fortnite, and I've never even touched PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The genre just has never appealed to me. However, Totally Accurate Battlegrounds was a game that actually made me have fun playing a BR game, which is incredibly rare. Its charming aesthetic helped elevate it from being just another one in the genre to being a completely different experience. One of its most charming characteristics being the characters themselves physically interacting with objects using their limbs. You can climb up windows by holding your weapons. You can even accidentally cross your arms while trying to shoot from vehicles. Hell, it's quite varied and interesting, and speaking of vehicles, they can range from simple things like cars and bikes to even wagons. The weapons are also creative and varied, ranging from realistic firearms to grenades that can create giant balls of fire. Even the locations you can visit are crazy, from giant castles to chaotic formations of floating islands. TABG is a parody brought to life in the best way possible. However, the footage I've been showing you has been the latest beta build from May 13th, which added a whole new map, new mechanics like the blessings that allow you to upgrade certain aspects of your characters, as well as new weapons and cosmetics. But before these beta tests for future versions began, we saw a large drought of content that left the game essentially on life support. How did we get here? And can Totally Accurate Battlegrounds make a big return? Let's look at its history first, shall we? Totally Accurate Battlegrounds was released on the 5th of June as a late April Fool's joke by the developers of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. However, to the surprise of everyone involved, it was a massive success, reaching over 3 million downloads in 4 days. The developers had to scramble to update and stabilize the servers and the game itself due to the insane amount of players, so it was supposed to just be a small joke project. 5 days later, the game was made to cost $4.99 US, as was planned from the beginning. However, a month later, the game found itself with a fraction of its player base. With the months coming and the player base dwindling, eventually the updates would become much less frequent. Though there were promises of new updates and game modes, as well as making the game free to play again like on launch. But by May 2019, the developers entered an almost year-long hiatus that will last until February 2020. But what caused all this? Why did such a huge hit take such a sudden tumble? Well, it's simple. This game wasn't really supposed to become what it did. It was, and I quote, a spoof of our main game, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. TABG was originally meant to be an April Fool's for the Totally Accurate Battle Simulator players that had been waiting for the game since 2016. We didn't want to keep them waiting any longer, and to release TABS, we needed and still need all hands on deck. TABS is currently in early access with an estimated release in Q2 or Q3 2020. After it's finished, we can work on the TABG update again. And so the question is clearly answered by the devs themselves. This joke game had taken a life of its own, but they simply couldn't support it and Totally Accurate Battle Simulator with the same level of attention. Couple that with the server issues, and we have a pretty clear picture of how a secondary project's unexpected success could disappear so quickly. This is not to say, of course, that the game doesn't have its fan base or that it's fully dead. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The dedicated fan base has yet to give up on this now almost 2-year-old game. But even with the new beta test for the game's next update, the numbers haven't reached 500 concurrent players since October 2018. Oh yeah, speaking of the newest update, we should talk about that some more. As promised by the devs, and as the new beta tests show, the game will finally be updated with brand new content after almost a year of hiatus, and will become permanently free to play. When I started this video, I posed the question, can this game make a big return and take its rightful place as a creative entry on the Battle Royale genre? Well, Now that development has slowly started up again, and we have received frequent beta tests, let's analyze how this has affected player numbers. As of the writing of this video, we are at the 7th beta test for the next update. Looking at Steam charts before and after each test, we can see that the betas can cause an increase that ranges from 100 to almost 200 players during peak hours. While an undeniable increase, we mustn't forget that we're talking about a Battle Royale game, and while TABG allows for games of less than 100 players to start up, with most games nowadays having around 50, it is important to take the way the genre relies on large player numbers into account. So even with the temporary beta testing player base increase, it's still not enough to be classified as a successful BR game. However, there is something that might make it one. Free to play. 3 words that attracted 3 million people to this game when it launched, while the beta showcased a grim picture of a minuscule player base increase for the genre. Perhaps this interesting and fun Battle Royale can find its way back into people's hearts by given up to them for free. Sure, paid and highly successful BR games like Totally Accurate Battlegrounds' namesake, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, exists, but finally getting back to the mainstream would take more than just discounts and updates in an oversaturated market. With PUBG, its success was found because there weren't really many big Battle Royale games back then, and now it feels like there's a new Battle Royale game every week. With the absurd success of Fortnite, paid BR games have become less appealing to the general public. Becoming free-to-play might be the second win this game truly needs, so it can achieve the success it deserves. To all the fans of Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, know that this video isn't intended to shit out the game, but only to comment on its history. To the devs, thanks for coming back like you always promised you would. Here's to hoping that we can all have fun times in the future. If not, well, then at least we'll all still have Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which is a good game in its own way. Thank you for watching.